That's okay. This is what we're going to be making. So I have done the base and I've used the embossing folder from the Ornate Flower Garden. So I do really love this one. It's got lots of little flowers on it. And this is, oh, I've got it here. This is it. This is it when I have put it through the embossing folder. So once the small embossing and cutting and embossing machine comes, I'll be able to have it on the desk here, which will be fantastic. But I really don't like popping that on the desk, and it just takes up the whole screen, and then it also wiggles everything. So much better to do these things ahead of time. So, but yes, as I say, when the small one comes, I'm hoping that'll be a lot better. So I've cut that at 14.3 and 10 centimetres. And, oops, I'll put that over there. Gosh. And then I have cut another mat. This is a bit smaller than that. This is, let me just tell you. Now this is the, oh great, I'm pleased it's better, Helen. The new, of course, Magnetic Madness. And I have cut this at 8.5 and 12.5, or just over 12.5, yeah, 12.5. As I was saying, this is so bright, really, really bright. I do love Magenta Pink. It's one of my favourites because it's got the blue tint. But I do find this quite bright. But it is fantastic for highlighting the colour in projects, I think. You know, if you want to add a real pop of colour, it is absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to continue making, as I was saying before, when I was looking at the set, I thought, gosh, this could be beautiful as Gerberas as well as sunflowers. So I've used the new Misty Moonlight and watercoloured. So this is on the Fluid 100, and I've watercoloured the background already, and I've done the base colour and shaded. So what I've done is done the base colour here and let it dry, because when you're using watercolour and wanting to add different colours, it's always really good if you can let each layer dry a little bit before you add another one on top. So because I've got 3 flowers here, that worked out really well. So I did this one completely, and then I did this one with the centre done and just the base with the Magenta Madness. And I'll start this one with the base and then come back and do the shading with this one. So all I've done is popped a little bit of colour in here, and what I wanted to share was obviously the use of these gorgeous, I don't know if anyone else has got them, but I used them the first time and then I absolutely love them. Our other aqua painters were fantastic, but I just find these so good to use. I think the tips are really, really good. They're smooth and soft, and they just put the colour on really, really well. So this is the medium size, and this is the thin, and this is the gorgeous big fat one that I used last week. So I'm just going to use the medium one, and I've got some, now I had this in here the other day, so hopefully, this is just a cheap thing that I got from the $2 shop. So I just popped just a drop. Hi Gina, sorry about that. Oh my gosh, I've never had that happen before. So I just put a little bit, a bit of a drop in, and then you've got a little sign here that says push. So you can just squeeze out the colour, and I'm just going to cover. So I've white embossed. So white embossed first, and then I did the background. And I find by doing that, you can actually see where the edges are. It's a bit hard with white on white to actually see where the flower ends otherwise. So I find it quite good to do that outside part first. So I'll pop this on, and hopefully by the time I've done the darker colour on the other flower, it will have dried. But I did think these did, because Gerberas do have lovely big yellow centres as well. The only thing about Gerberas, of course, they don't stand up very well when you buy them. I have had them from the florist, and they will put wire and stuff on them, which is fantastic to keep them upright, because their heads are so heavy and they've got such skinny little stems that nature hasn't really planned that out really well in that sense, because yeah, they drop their heads quite quickly. Mind you, I suppose that's nature's way of getting the pollen and stuff around the place, other than the bees. So it's just good to know that this set obviously has lots of different uses. So that's just the Magnetar Pink. It goes on as a watercolor color beautifully. I just think it's comes up as a lovely, lovely pink. So as I said, I've done this one earlier, so this one will be dry, and it's good to let each one dry before you add the next color. Now this next color that I'm using, this is Melon Mambo. So I thought this was particularly bright until I compared it to this colour, the Magnetar Madness. But that's it there already in the centre. So I'm just going to add, don't want it too watered down, I'm just going to add a little bit of shading. And see, if you do it while it's still wet, it doesn't actually, it blends in a bit too much. So I quite like doing it when it's dry. Now, lovely colour combination. Yeah, I found actually that I was trying a few different colours in the background actually, and I think it needed something like this, a darker colour, because I had a lighter blue, which looked fine, but I just found that I thought the darker blue actually complemented the pink really, really well. Yeah, they are nice and bright, aren't they, Linda? Very bright. Bright and happy. But Gerberas are bright. They're a very bright flower. So I'm just using the skinny brush, and I'm just really following the lines that the sunflower has already. And because I've white embossed it, it's not, the lines of the flower will still stand out. So you just really add it where you think a bit of shadow would be. So there's layers of leaves here, so I'm just adding it to underneath where the underneath sort of leaves would be. And the top leaves would be casting a bit of shadow. I'm not worrying about the direction of the sun at all. So you can just keep going back, and if you wanted to add another layer to be a little bit darker than that even, you could let that dry and come back and add a little bit more. So hopefully this is going to be dry enough, and we will just add a bit now. So it has sort of a more of a purple, I think, the melon mambo, doesn't it? It has more of a sort of a purple tint to it, which still goes well with the blue, obviously. Now I'm just adding a bit into there. So this is good, you can follow with the dots with this as well. But this may not, because it's not probably perfectly dry, it's not going to be probably as dark as it could be. So I did do it a little bit ahead of time, just so you didn't have to watch me do too much colouring in, but just to get the idea. So I do love watercolour and using blends, just colouring really. I love creating backgrounds and that sort of thing. I do love using designer series paper too, of course, but it seems funny to be doing this knowing that people are watching you adding a bit of colour, adding a bit of ink onto something. I'm sure there's some amazing artists out there that would probably do an incredible job. Okay, now with this one, I've just got some water here. I'm just going to add, so I have used in the centre, I've used Daffodil Delight, and I've used some Bumblebee. Of course, that is a darker yellow, and I've just used that in the centre here. And I'll add another bit to there. So it looks a bit like caramel or something, doesn't it? A caramelly, oh, honey maybe, yeah, honey. That's what we call it, why it's called Bumblebee. So it just gives that bit of darker. So you see I would now go back and wait for that to dry and add a little bit more. I've added about 3 layers of the dark on this, and it's quite handy when you're doing more than one, because you can just work around and add the colour. So I'm just using 2 colours, the Magneto Madness and the Melon Mambo, but you can always bring in another colour. Okay, that is really, really bright, very bright and happy, I think. So it's always quite good to do, so it's a very big stamp, this one. So I didn't want to just do one big stamp in the middle. So that's why I've sort of done, keeping to the rule of 3 or odd numbers, I've done the 3 flowers on the page. And I just really wanted them still to be the focus. So let's open the press and stamp and seal. I don't press and seal. So I see that there are 2 different colours. So, I hope this, I should have opened this beforehand actually, because it's going to be very, very noisy with plastic, isn't it? Now, they're in very good sealable bags. If you wanted to keep these, you can reseal them actually, which is good. And this is the Seal Plus. Now the Seal Plus is supposed to be really good for using in 3D projects if you're making boxes and things like that. Now I didn't really use the other one that much. I did try a few times, but as I say, I tended to always go back to the glue because of my affliction of not being able to get anything straight. But we are going to give it a go today, and you can watch me. This is quite a nice big thing to hold actually, I must admit. It feels quite good in your hand. Now, let's have a look. So the lid comes off. I think the other lid on the other one used to just pop open, didn't it? And stayed on. So it would be going that way. Oops, oh, got some on my hand. So those of you who used it a lot are probably a lot more au fait with it than me. Okay. Now I've lost it. There we go. And twist, I think, at the end. Anyone who's out there can feel free to give me any advice. Yep, still sticky. It feels very sticky, actually. Aha, that's what I think I must need to do. And I'm just going to pop that on. So now I'm hoping that I can get it nice and straight. It is actually, if this is sticky like this, it would be quite good for this because I've used the watercolour paper and I have added water to it, as you do. And look, that is crooked, but it is lifting. It does warp a little bit because you've wet it. So being able to use something that's quite firm is probably going to be better than the glue. Right, now that's not going on straight, but it is lifting and moving, so that's handy, very handy. Okay, so I'm going to use a bit of the Magnetar ribbon as well. Isn't that just beautiful? So bright and so happy. I'm not because tape runners never work for me. No, but I'm really determined to give this one a go, Gina, because I really want to be able to use it. People that I watch use it just seem to make it so easy. So I just thought, no, I'm going to give it a really good go. And the fact that it lifted then so I could re-straighten, that actually really impresses me, because that's the great thing about glue. Right. Tape. That's not my tape. Here it is. So I'm just doing the ribbon. So I just do the ribbon on the back like this, so I'm not using too much ribbon. And just popping it on the back. Oh look, my clip for my ribbon even matches. Okay. Now I will use dimensionals to pop that on the back of this. Actually, I have done that wrong, but that's all right. I'm going to take that off. See, I'm too busy chatting. Okay, let's have another go. Let's have another go at this. So run it down and twist. Run it down and twist. I seem to have another bit coming off the top. Oh, there we go. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So it'd be interesting. Probably end up with tape everywhere. Okay. It's always good to give new things a go. And see, look, that's... I'm not very good at putting things on straight. There we go. Now we'll go back to this again. And now we'll go to the dimensionals. Has anyone else been using the seal, the new Stampin' seal? How have you found it? And did you use the other one? Do you find it better? Just using up all my scraps. None. Right. So no one's used it before, used the old one. Just good to know someone who used the old one and what they think of the new one. I know tapes are very, very popular. And be good to see if this actually holds too on the cards over a length of time. You've seen others use the new tapes, yeah. Right, so I'm going to pop that on the front. And what I've done for that's the other thing I wanted to show you. It's similar to Fast Fuse, but there's definitely a knack to it. Yeah, I don't think I've quite got it yet. Now this is the new punch. It's got 2 separate punches on it, and it's got 3 ways you can use each punch. Fantastic. These are the 3 sizes that you can use for cutting the ends or punching the ends. And I've popped them on there because I can never remember. I've got terrible short-term memory. 1.3, 1.9 and 2.5. So I've cut this one at 1.3. And I've found, I know there's some different ways of using it out there. I find, just for me, and everyone's different of course, I feed it through and then I like to see when I push it up where it's at. So I always have the words up so I can see. And then I know that I haven't punched the words and I know that I've got it in the middle. So that's just one way to use it. I know there's A few people have popped instructions online. But I usually find if I cut it to the length I want and then put it in like that, it works really, really well. And you don't, because you're looking at it, you don't punch the words. Okay. And I've done this in the blue because of the card being so bright. I just thought another bit of pink would be just a little bit much. So I'll pop that up on some dimensionals. I might take it off to the side a little bit. And of course a bow. Yeah, I think people that used the tape previously were avid users of tape, weren't they? They really like to use them, but as I say, I never got into it. And oh, out of stock. Yeah, it is great actually, very versatile. I'm sure it'll come back in. It must have been very popular over there. Actually, I don't know, maybe it's out of stock here too. I got it when it first came out actually. And just going to get a glue dot and pop that on the side. Now I actually got some of these lovely artistry bloom sequins. These are so gorgeous. Beautiful colours. This is they're so shiny, and I love self-adhesive embellishments. They just make things so easy. So I use these ones. Yes, I think it's a lot of shops over here too, Gina, haven't got many things on the shelves because from places like China and things like that where we're getting things, it's just things have slowed down so much. Right. It's all shiny. And that one's there. Yeah. Beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's just a bit of watercolouring. I just wanted to obviously open my seal with you and have a go at using it, and so you could see what not to do, but also just to work through it with you. And the aqua painters, I really cannot say enough about them. They are just absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love using them. They just really, really do colour lovely. And about the fact that you can often use stamps for other items. This is the sunflower stamp, and I've created a Gerbera or a pink sunflower. So I do hope you enjoy. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And have a lovely, lovely week. Next week, I'm going to be teaching extravaganza all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, so I won't be around. But I will see everybody the week after. So do take care in the next couple of weeks. And once again, thank you so much for coming. Bye.